There is a monastery in the heart of a mountain that no one can quite name. They say it stands where the wind changes its mind halfway along the path and turns back. In that monastery lived a monk named Anand, which in Sanskrit means joy, though during the darkest years of his life, that name felt like a cruel irony. Before becoming a monk, Anand was an architect. He designed bridges. It wasn't just work. It was his way of loving the world. Every line he placed on paper was an act of faith, the belief that two separated sides could meet. He had a family, a wife with eyes the color of wet earth. Her name was Priya, and when she laughed, it felt as if the air around her grew warmer. They had a son, 7 years old. His name was Rohan, and every night he fell asleep asking his father to draw him maps of places that didn't exist. And Anand would draw them, with a pencil, always with a pencil. Because the world changes, he would say, and what we draw today may need to be erased tomorrow. One November night, Anand was working. The most important bridge of his career, a project that had taken him 3 years to conceive. Priya called him for dinner. He said, "Just one more moment." That moment lasted hours. When he finally left his office, the house was silent. A different kind of silence, the kind of silence that doesn't apologize. Priya had taken Rohan to the hospital with a high fever. It was a night like so many others, and then it wasn't. A rare infection, fast, cruel. Rohan never came home. No father should survive that sentence. But Anand survived, and that, surviving when you do not want to survive, became his second hell. Priya left as well, not by death, but by pain. There was no blame between them. There was only a space no bridge could cross. Anand stopped drawing. He locked all his pencils in a box. For 2 years he tried to live as if he were only passing through, because that was how he felt, that his true self had left with Rohan, and what remained was only the sketch of a man. He drank, worked until collapse. One night he sat at the edge of a bridge, one of his bridges, with his feet hanging over the void, and he thought, "I built it. I can choose how it ends." Then he heard footsteps. It was an old man, small, with a face full of maps, not wrinkles but lived lines, as if every decision he had ever made had left a visible mark on his skin. In his hand he held a pencil, broken in half. He sat down beside Anand without asking permission, like someone sitting beside a fire that was already burning. For a long time he said nothing. Then he asked in a voice that seemed to come from inside the stone, "Have you ever tried to erase a line that doesn't exist?" Anand looked at him, confused. The old man continued, "The suffering you carry, it isn't you. It's the line that remained after someone erased what you loved most. And now you're here trying to erase what's left, as if that would end the pain. But pain isn't erased by disappearance. Pain is erased with new lines." Anand asked who he was. The old man smiled. "I'm someone who has been here too, on this very edge, with the same questions, and who one day realized the map wasn't finished. It was only being rewritten." Anand did not go to the monastery that night. It took another 6 months, but something in that conversation, something he couldn't define, stayed inside him like a thorn that doesn't hurt, but reminds you it is there. When he finally arrived at the monastery, he brought only one thing with him, the box of pencils, still closed. The master of the community received him and said only, "We do not ask you to forget. We ask you to learn how to carry it without bending." The first months were the hardest of his life, and he had already survived things that should have been the limit. Because the monastery did not protect him from pain, it required him to be with it, to sit in front of it, look at it, and ask its name. There was an exercise the master gave him every morning, to take a pencil and draw for 10 minutes, without intention, without a project. Just move the hand and let whatever appeared appear. In the first days, Anand drew only broken lines, strokes that began and stopped, like sentences that never finish. Then one day, without warning, without any apparent reason, his hand drew a bridge, small, imperfect, with the wrong proportions, but whole, and Anand cried, not out of sadness, out of something that did not yet have a name, but that was the opposite of emptiness. Years later, Anand himself became a guide in the monastery, and whenever someone arrived broken, as he once had, he would sit beside that person and open the box of pencils. He always chose one that was broken in half, and he would say, "Destiny is not a straight line someone else has drawn for you. It is a map written in pencil, and the one who writes it never stops erasing and beginning again. Sometimes it erases what you loved most, and it seems as if the map has been left empty. But look, the paper is still here, the pencil is still here, and your hand still knows how to move." There was one question people always asked him, "But how do I know the next line is worth drawing?" And Anand always answered in the same way, first with silence, then, "You don't know, no one knows." That is precisely the difference between destiny and choice. Destiny promises, choice risks. And it is in risk, not in certainty, that life finds its flavor. Then he would place the broken pencil in the hands of the person sitting before him, and he would wait, because he knew that the moment someone picks up a broken pencil and decides to draw anyway, that is the moment the map begins again. There is a tradition in that monastery whose beginning no one quite remembers. Before dying, each monk draws one final line on a blank sheet of paper. Not a work, not a message, just a line. When Anand reached the end of his life, very old now, his face filled with the same lived lines as the man he once met on the bridge, he asked for paper and a pencil. His disciples expected something elaborate. A bridge, perhaps, or the face of Rohan. Anand took the pencil with a trembling hand and drew a curved line. Simple. It began on one side of the paper and ended at an uncertain distance, never reaching the edge. One disciple asked, "Master, why doesn't the line finish?" And Anand replied, his eyes already closing, "Because no true line ever ends. It continues in everything it has touched." Then he let the pencil fall, and the paper remained on the table with that unfinished line, and everyone who looked at it felt, without being able to explain why, that there was space there to continue. And your pencil is still in your hand. If this story touched something you had been holding in silence, imagine what you might awaken when you allow the next words to find you. Each week, a new parable, a new mirror. Subscribe, because the next line might be exactly what your map is missing. Click the bell. Don't miss the next chapter.